Hello and welcome to Dre Play Media episode number 2. I have a special guest with me, Mr. S Travel Quest, or aka Nick. What's up, Nick?
What's going on, Andre?
How you doing?
I'm doing good, friend.
It's crazy times, right?
I know, man. I know. We got COVID going on. And so tell me, what's going on?
Just waiting for my PS5 to come around.
Oh, man. I know you're excited. We've been talking about it.
Heck yeah.
You was telling me that you pre-ordered it. And what's crazy is that, right, you couldn't get just the console. You had to get a bundle, right?
That was the only thing they had left. It was actually antonline.com. That same night, I was about to throw in the towel. I had another friend who referred me to another website, and they said, in about an hour, there's going to be a flash sale with the PS5. So he gave me the link. I was there.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as the hour hit, all of a sudden, the site crashed. I couldn't get in there for nothing.
My goodness.
I was so annoyed. So I was like, forget this. And then another part of me saying, no, don't give up just yet. So just randomly, I just Google searched like PS5 pre-order, and this site came up. I've never heard of it before, but they had it available, but only in a bundle. I spent more than I would like to, but
I know.
desperate times. So.
I know you told me all about it, and I was like, I had to bite my fist on that one. I was like, Andre, what are you doing? But it is the PS5, and me and you, we go way back, and we had PlayStation ever since PlayStation 1. We're not telling our age, guys, but we had the original PlayStation. So, how much are the games going to cost?
Well, the games are going to range anywhere between $50 to $70.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's something like we're paying right now. Just the $10 is just like a collector edition, or you have the DLC already attached.
Pretty much $60. Well, if you don't include tax, it's understandable that there would be a slight inflation with the game prices. So it's an expensive hobby.
Hey, it is, and I think the price is fair as long as day one they have some extra content. Now, I'm also supporting games long term. You know me, I'm a big fighting game.
Oh, yeah. Street Fighter. You're a Street Fighter fan. All the Tekken. Yup. Yeah,
Street Fighter, Tekken. I'm old school. But, I still play those games. But, those arcades, they're long and gone. So now we play on consoles, which is not bad.
Yeah. Did you happen to see IGN's review of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X and S?
You know what? I have not. I'll be honest with you. I've been kind of like waiting to see when everybody gets it. I'm looking at like a peer review. So I'm waiting for it to actually release to see what people say about the system. And you know what? I'm going to get them regardless. At least the PlayStation 5. You know me, Sony fanboy over here.
Yeah.
When the console first comes out, sometimes there's overheating issues, there's DLC issues. The interface is messed up, and they have to update it a couple times before they kind of get it right. But what are your thoughts? I mean, you probably watched it, right?
I did actually. I mean, I guess they're, they don't want to sound biased, so they just want to keep it fair. Understandable. But I think that this generation of the console wars, if you will, it's quite different because each company is going for a different direction. Now, I happen to have an Xbox One, and I recently checked out EA Play. They had I guess they have a partnership now with Microsoft. So now it was effective November 10th. EA Play games, a certain selection of their library is now part of the Xbox Game Pass, Ultimate Game Pass. I played Dead Space 3. I played the SSX. Remember that snowboarding game, SSX?
Yes,
I played the remake. Yeah. That was so nostalgic for me. And when I was on the Dead Space online campaign, there were still some people there. All these years, there are still people playing these games online. And these games go back, the 7th generation? I just think that's such a bonus to have. If you're an avid Xbox fan, they have backwards compatibility thanks to Xbox Game Pass, and they just have a robust library. even though we don't have next-gen exclusives right out the gate for either system, at least for Xbox gamers, they have something to fall back on. Don't get me wrong, I love Sony, but the PlayStation Now service is just not the same because, it's heavily reliant on your internet connection. I think that if the PlayStation 3 did not use the cell processor, if it used something else, we would have backwards compatibility with the PlayStation 2 and the 3 games. You wouldn't need a streaming service for that. There's many PlayStation 3 games that are just like gems to me that I would love to play again.
But there's one thing that like I wish both, and I know Sony kinda does it, and even Microsoft kinda does it, is crossplay, right? But I think for me, that's the future. Everybody has a PC, right? Or maybe a Mac. Some people might have Sony, the PlayStation. Some people might have the Xbox. Why don't we just come together? You can have your system, I have my system, but we're playing the same games. And I think it comes down to community. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I have to agree with you wholeheartedly. I think that as a gaming community, we shouldn't be limited to how we play against each other by platform. There should be unity. And I think that the more developers who are open to the idea of cross-platform play, even Microsoft was open to that. Minecraft, for example, you can be on Xbox One and play against someone on the Nintendo Switch. So that's a sign of things going in a better direction. That is the way to go. And I think that these companies will be more open to the idea. As gamers, we need to speak up too. What are your thoughts about Microsoft acquiring studios now? I'm sure you've heard about how Microsoft acquired Bethesda, the same developers or publisher behind games such as The Evil Within, Skyrim. What are your thoughts about this? Do you think this is a good move, or do you think this is sort of a monopolistic act?
No, I think it's a good move for Microsoft to acquire that. Especially, I love Evil Within, kind of similar to Resident Evil, so I love those horror games. And then Skyrim, that's huge. I know people still playing that game to this day, right? And that game's been out forever.
Right.
Now, it's a good move for Microsoft because I know with Sony, when they came out, they kind of, grabbed with the fighting games. Right? And then Microsoft is like, whatever, we got our own fighting game. We got Killer Instincts, That's a great game, but every fighting game with the PlayStation, if you don't act fast and you don't get those premium games, those titles, you're not gonna have people buying those consoles. People might disagree with me on this one, but when you think of Microsoft, at least I think of Microsoft. I think of first-person shooters. I think of sports games, right? I do not think about RPGs. I do not think about action adventure games. I'm not gonna hate on Microsoft. Their online is great.
Yeah.
With them acquiring that, maybe they're like, okay, we need to grab into this market, get into the role playing, into the horror genre, and hopefully they can acquire more studios. Now, I don't like having one studio having all these games, because then it kind of limits the other console. And if you're like, a Sony fanboy like myself, you're like, what am I gonna play? So I don't even know, because that's what I'm waiting on. I want to see what games are gonna be coming out, and especially for me, at least fighting games. Like, is it gonna be Sony exclusive? Because that's how it was this time around. Is it gonna be Microsoft? We don't know. So for right now, I think it's a great move for Microsoft. I want to see what Sony's gonna do. Sony, they're not gonna sleep. They're gonna acquire studios, or they're gonna develop first party.
Yeah, if there's one thing you got to give Sony credit for, it's for their first party exclusives, hands down. Last of Us,
God of War,
Uncharted. Come on.
You know what game I love? I play the crap out of it. I think it's Horizon Zero Dawn.
I haven't played that. Shame on me.
You are missing out, man. I don't want to spoil that game for you. And you know what? You can probably buy it for like $15 right now. They're making a sequel, and it's going to be on PS5, so I can't wait.
Well, speaking of, yes, you're referring to Horizon Forbidden West.
Yes.
Yes. So Interestingly, this was going to be a PS5 exclusive, and then Sony made the decision to make it also available for the PS4. This wasn't the only game. We also had the new Sackboy game. That will also be a cross-gen game. But do you think that Sony should had stuck to their original agenda by making these games PS5 exclusives? What would gravitate me to get a PS5?
Okay, so why would you get a PS5, right? Because obviously day one, they're not gonna have tons of games. You'll be lucky if they have 10 or more games, right? That are just PS5 exclusive, right?
Right.
You want to see that new spec, you got that 4K TV, you're ready. You want to see 4K gaming. And I think this generation, that's what's gonna be. Everything gonna be 4K. Because you have some people, they got that a PlayStation 4, the TV is 720.
Yeah.
So with the next generation, with these graphics, you want to see that 4K. That's why I would buy one day one. It depends on like how bad you want the game and what game's coming out. I mean, why did you get it? What's your reasoning behind why Dre got the PlayStation 5 day one?
Well, I am an early adopter. That's just how I've always been when it comes to gaming. And yes, I know there's that risk of you're the guinea pig pretty much, and you're getting the first batch of the new launch models. So anything is bound to happen. But you know, that's a chance I'm willing to take because that's just how dedicated I am, Nick. But I love the Sony brand, Microsoft too. I'm pretty open with all three platforms. I do have the Nintendo Switch too. But yeah, man, I mean, this is like the next generation. And, you know, I know that Sony's going to bring out great games. They're going to bring out great sequels to the games that I already own. I'm quite sure there's going to be sometime in the future, the Uncharted Part 5, The Last of Us Part 3. I mean, who knows? And then you also have new games that are in the works from these studios. So with great talent comes a great system. There's no doubt that Sony will not disappoint. And Microsoft definitely stepped up their game. Where do you think Nintendo stands?
What I noticed with Nintendo the last couple of years, they're innovators, right? And in my personal opinion, between Xbox and Sony PlayStation is Xbox and PlayStation are for people who already know how to play the games. But I think with Nintendo, they have a quality system that's meant for families, right? And they're meant for everybody. Somebody that just started gaming, they could be 3, 4, 5 years old, to somebody who's older, well, both much older than us, right? And so anybody can kind of pick up and play, and I think they capitalize on that, on the pick up and play. And I think it's brilliant because, you know, you got those hardcore gamers, they're going to play the Super Smash Brothers, that's very competitive, right? You know, people who love Zelda, people who love Mario, they're gonna play those games. And I think Nintendo is still innovating. I don't think they have anything yet. I think they're gonna maybe wait another year or two, because I know they never come out the same year as like a PlayStation or Xbox. Xbox and PlayStation kind of you know, box back and forth, like, you know, I'm dropping first. And this year it looks like they're coming out at the same time. They're gonna do well, both of them. But Nintendo likes to wait. They're looking at the end game. They're gonna see, okay, what do we need to add or take away? Because like I said, they always innovate. They're in their own category. They don't have to compete with nobody because they're Nintendo.
You're right. And Nintendo they'll always be that company that's more family oriented. They haven't alienated the mature audience, but I mean, to this day, they're more so geared towards a younger audience, and it works. This formula does work for them, and I think they're going to stick to it for a very long time. Absolutely. All right, Nick. Well, I thank you so much for joining this episode of Dre Play Media. And ladies and gentlemen, please check out his channel. That is Mr. S Travel Quest. Any last words, Nick?
Hey, Dre, I appreciate your time. I appreciate, you know, being on the show.
No problem.
And this is your second show. I'm excited, and I think you're doing great. And I look forward to watching and listening to your podcast.
All right, man. You take care. For everyone else, thank you for listening to this episode.
Till next time.
Till next time, this is Andre Lloyd signing out.